It's been hard, and sometimes I felt like I was growing like a lot in one day, you know, like I was getting old because I had to take super difficult, super awful decisions for the good of the company. I had a massive ulcer by then. It didn't make any sense to open a coffee roastery, to start a coffee roastery project if there was not a single cafe in Barcelona. I think it was never chaos. It was a massive challenge to deal with so many different subjects, so many different issues, and try to do things right. So my name is Jordi Mestre. I'm from Barcelona, and I am the CEO of Nomad Coffee. So the first Nomad, all I wanted to do is a coffee cart in a street market, in a food market in London. I was in love with the idea of just serving coffee out of a coffee cart and not having any other worry than just make good coffee and chat with people walking by. So we found a spot with my colleague in Nethill Market, which is just off Broadway Market, and we became partners, just unofficial partners. There was nothing written. It was just a coffee cart. We bought, we paid half, a super simple machine. It was a Wega machine, a Nova Wega machine. I think we bought secondhand for 1,000 quid. But we made super good coffee because we were super geeky and super, tried to be super precise. And we set up Nomad Espresso. At that time it was called Nomad Espresso because we were only just pulling espressos, we had nothing else. And we spent a whole winter and a summer just serving coffee on Saturdays from Nethill Market. After a year or so, he was a musician, so he said, I'm going on a tour, man, so if you pay me back, I'll leave you. I'll pay him back wherever he invested at the beginning, and then it was just me. And that was my dream job, to be honest. I was mainly using a square mile at that time, but I was also changing and just trying different roasters in town. So I got to meet lots of people, not so long after that. I got offered a job as a coffee roaster. So I was roasting Monday to Friday and then serving coffee in the weekends. And that was a perfect, combining those two, it was just perfect for me. So that's how Nomad Coffee started, just pulling shots in the street by Broadway Market. The coffee scene in 2013, 2014, 2013, 2014 in London was beautiful because there was so many young people from all over the world that moved to London, and most of us found and discovered specialty coffee in London. I got to meet lots of people, I got to learn, I went to cuppings like every week, coming to Barcelona, to Spain to compete, opened the doors for me in this country. So I got to meet everyone in the first day. Like the first competition day, I met everyone because there was probably a bunch of people, probably 20 people in the specialty coffee in Spain in 2013. There was one cafe in Spain, in Madrid, one La Marzocco in 2013. It didn't make any sense to open a coffee roastery, to start a coffee roastery project if there was not a single cafe in Barcelona that could buy my coffee, that wanted to invest in my coffee. So I first opened a cafe. I was roasting the coffee in the back of the shop in a 400 gram roaster. And I was just serving that coffee, and I was prepping the coffee bags for retail, like 3 or 4 a day. I could roast up to 3-4 coffee bags a day. And we had a extremely basic and rustic sample roaster, the Haki 500. We had two, the Haki. So the first production roaster that I had, it was a Haki 500. And I probably roasted more than 200 kilos in that roaster. That's the roaster I was using at the back of the shop. Start small, don't invest too much money at the beginning, and you see the results year after year, and you'll be able to grow. The first investment for me at Nomad Espresso in London was probably 2,000 or 3,000 quid, so pounds. And when I moved back to Barcelona, it was probably 8,000 to 9,000 euros where we invested. But you can make the best coffee from a second-hand La Marzocco, and from a more simple bar. We had to start getting people's interest by serving the best café con leche of their life. So people drink café con leche in this country, make them the best café con leche of their life. And they will definitely notice the difference. If you start by serving them espresso, a civic espresso, or an AeroPress, when you only drank café con leche, you're not gonna like that. You're definitely not gonna like that. So like café con leche is how we started growing, just making the right café con leche. And that's how Nomad Coffee started in Barcelona, just like coffee bar, serving my own coffee, and having a couple of methods and a couple of espressos, different espressos as well. But then obviously Fran decided that roaster could not be Nomad Coffee Sample Roaster. So we bought the IKAWA, and then we bought another one. And we are extremely happy, and we will buy another one now. We could have that roaster in an office, so the roaster could be working, and someone else could be working next door in their own thing, and that roaster is less noisy or not noisy at all compared to what we had. Where IKAWA, it's where everything starts with all this process. Every single bag of green coffee that we get from anywhere in the world goes through our IKAWA. If you don't sample roast, if you don't cap your samples, there's no way you can have a good coffee menu. There's no way you can have good coffees. So sample roasting in this company, it's more important than roasting. There's a lot to say when you're a company with different departments, cafes, origin, roasting, wholesale, national wholesale, international wholesale, a kitchen, a catering service, an academy, and trying to do things right as a company. There's a lot to say, a lot to communicate. It was a massive challenge to deal with so many different subjects, so many different issues, and try to do things right. The most difficult decisions have been always involve people. Anything else, I say anything else is easy, but whatever involves people, it's always the most challenging of all of our work. So yeah, I don't want to go into details of one or two decisions, but it's been hard, and sometimes I felt like I was growing like a lot in one day, like I was getting old because I had to take super difficult, super awful decisions for the good of the company. And when you say the good of the company, means the good of the rest of the people that work in the company. So that's always painful, and it still hurts. In the beginning and in the middle, and like only until 2 years ago, which we hired our first human resources person, had a massive ulcer by then. And when we hired Celia, which she was our first human resources person, my ulcer was cured in 3 months. It was a challenge because I don't come from this background. Fran, my partner, he doesn't come from this background, and we had no experience in how to deal with issues that happen when people work together, Now we have someone who actually can think of solutions, can think of better options of doing things, better ways. So yeah, makes a difference. I think it was never chaos. Well, I can think of things that happened 12 or 13 years ago, but the reality is that what we're living now, I think is the best we've ever lived. The team we have now is the best we've ever had. So to me, this is going to be the best memory of my life, or the best time that I will remember. Sometimes we should celebrate, and routine is crazy and it makes us go fast and not stopping, realizing what we have around, what we've achieved as a company, as a team. So I think it's now. My memory will be now.